Deleted session, November 12, 1977. Now, good evening. Some time ago, I said something to the effect that seeming miracles were simply caused by nature unimpeded. Nature's source, in the terms in which we have been speaking, comes from Framework 2. There, all of nature's true potentials lie ready to be actualized, according to the circumstances and conditions, the needs and desires of the nature creature in Framework 1. The true potentials of nature are hardly suspected in most areas, since the nature of Framework 1 constantly flows into it from Framework 2. Then, Framework 2 is responsible for the shapes, forms, the behavior, the potentials of nature as you know it. When you are working with Framework 2, you are indeed working with nature in the most basic way. In childhood, you do this automatically. You do not question the gifts of the gods, so to speak. Rupert's physical condition was the result of nature impeded. You cannot really know your neighbor's subjective reality. Some people throughout their lives merge the two frameworks unconsciously in a childlike manner. Others begin early to concentrate in Framework 1, so that Framework 2 goes more and more out of focus, because you are nature. However, your existence is caused in Framework 2, and to some extent, you are even saved at times from your own beliefs because additional insights or solutions are directly inserted into your mind in the dream state or in other moments of the day. Often such information will be given time and time again in different ways until its importance is finally impressed upon your mind. You may have a series of dreams, all in one way or another, stating the message, whether or not you remember the dreams, or can interpret them. They will be, in a dream drama series, painting the reality of the world in a new fashion, giving the significant clues, and to some extent, altering habitual psychic organization. In a manner of speaking now, such dreams can operate as, say, post-hypnotic suggestion, so that you begin to react in a new way without perhaps knowing why. The kind of dream Rupert interpreted for you about the Sesame exhibition is an example of an excellent message dream, important enough to come to consciousness because you were ready. Then you consciously assimilate the information and add the strength and power of the conscious mind and the conscious intent to the power of the dream's message. Once you begin consciously working with Framework 2, help, support, solutions all begin to come, for you light up your conscious faculties with your unconscious ones. For you light up your conscious faculties with your unconscious ones in the most beneficial way, and your conscious goals fit in with your unconscious natural goals, the primary ones given you at birth. You are set right with yourself again. Again, this process automatically brings about powerful beneficial changes. Any misconceptions, contradictions, seeming dilemmas are resolved. For now, you are not going against your own nature, but with it. And from Framework 2, you draw out the greatest natural potentials that are uniquely yours. You are both doing very well. In a way, as Rupert mentally changes his significances, so does the body. It responds to even physical data in a new way. Vast inner changes have occurred this week that will make the actual normal locomotion possible. Your suggestion about elimination was a great help, for this automatically means that the body is exercised more in walking and that bodily wastes are eliminated much more readily. Hastening recovery, the body will feel less sluggish. Rupert's response to the suggestion means that his attitudes are indeed changing for the better. Your intent is specific and should be stated as such, as Rupert is doing, but that specific intent draws multitudinous areas into actualization, and Rupert will feel himself more and more supported in both his physical and creative endeavors. Framework 2, again, in a way magnifies your intent. The work done there is out of all proportion to the effort expended once your intent is clear, and the clear desire stated. Framework 2 is a powerhouse from which physical energy springs. It flows that energy to you automatically, only when you say, I do not want it in this area. Do you cut down on that energy flow? Give us a moment, very briefly now, for this will be a short station. In your turns of history, men appeared in several different stages, or ages is a better word, not from an animal ancestor in the way generally supposed. They were man-animals, but they were not your stock. They did not lead to anything. They were species in their own right. They were animal men. The terms are for your convenience. In some species, the animal-like tendencies predominated. In others, the man-like tendencies predominated. Some were more like men, some more like animals. The Russia steppes had a particular giant-sized species. Some also, I believe, in Spain, that area. There is considerable confusion, for that matter, as to the geological ages, as they are understood. Such species existed in many of these ages. Man, as you think of him, shared the earth with the other creatures just mentioned. In those terms, so-called modern man, with your skull structure and so forth, existed alongside of the creatures now supposed to be his ancestors. Give us a moment. There was some rivalry between these groups, some cooperation. Several species, say, of modern men died out. There was some mating between these groups, that is, of all of the groups, at various times. The brain capacities of your particular species were always the same. Give us a moment. Many of the man-animal groups had their own communities. They might seem limited to you, yet they combined animal and human characteristics beautifully, and they lay you the tools quite well. In a manner of speaking, they had the earth to themselves for many centuries. In that matter, men did not compete with them. Both the man-animals and the animal men were born with stronger instincts. They did not need long periods of protection as infants, but in an animal fashion were physically more agile at younger ages than, say, the human infant. The earth has gone through entire cycles, unsuspected by your scientists. Modern men then existed with other man-like species and appeared in many different places on the earth, and at different ages. Give us a moment. There were then also animal men and man-animal civilizations of their kinds, and there were complete civilizations of modern men, existing before the ages now given for, say, the birth of writing. Ralph noted, 3100 BC. Say said, take your break, or endlessation. Ralph said, we'll take the break. Say said, now this will be brief. You are indeed affecting cells for the better through framework 2, because your intent has become clearer. Before, that intent was diminished as far as its effect was concerned by your fears, your concern about details, your worries about too many visitors or demands. Framework 2 brings about your desire, but also considers it in the light of your entire life situation, so that it comes about in the best way possible, fitting in with your natures. The clear intent then takes it for granted that the results will indeed be highly beneficial and not cause detriments. Your growing faith in Framework 2 about Rupert's condition has also helped free your intent about selling books. Before, you tied Rupert's physical problems in with the selling of the books. Several important joint areas are clearing in Rupert's body. New tendons and muscles are stretching, and the large forehead area is now being relieved. He is working well, then, with his methods. You should read a few of the later sessions, however, to keep the characteristics of Framework 2 in mind. Ross said, "Can I ask a question?" Say said, "You may." Ross said, "Our sales have increased, but our mail has dropped off quite a bit. It seems like the two things have taken place together. I'm wondering whether there's any connection, or whether the mail thing has taken place for their reasons." Say said, "For one thing, Rupert sent out messages that he had enough mail for a while. This fits in with Framework 2, because it was known he needed the weekends right now to relax. The time of the year had something to do with it, for many people are already spending spare time Christmas shopping. Some of the people most influenced by the books, however, particularly unknown reality and necessity, are the kind of people who will take time to digest the books before writing. There will most probably be an increase in mail. It is important that you keep your intent with Rupert clear, that he will work properly, that the books will sell well in a second instance, and then trust that the pieces of the completed pattern will all fall into place in Framework 1, as indeed they show." End of session. Ross said, "Thank you." Say said, "Look to your dreams, then, and keep your eyes open for further connections in Framework 2, and a fond good evening." Ross said, "Okay, thank you very much. Good night."